Drone footage provides a view of Pokrovsk with the Ukrainian city at the center of an attritional battle which may also define control of the Donetsk region. According to Associated Press, fighting in the city has reached a key stage, with Russian and Ukrainian forces so enmeshed that in some cases they're vying for control of the same residential building, soldiers and analysts told the Associated Press. Far from the battlefield, Pokrovsk is also critical to a diplomatic struggle, as both Kiev and Moscow attempt to convince US President Donald Trump that they have the upper hand in the fighting and the other side is weaker. Russia says its forces have surrounded Pokrovsk and thwarted a Ukrainian operation to reopen logistics lines into the city. Ukraine denies there's a blockade, describing the fighting as ongoing, with its forces inflicting heavy Russian losses. Russian forces entered Pokrovsk last month, taking advantage of gaps in Ukrainian defenses to slip through the lines, and appear poised to seize all of it in the coming weeks or months, experts say. Ukrainian commanders on the ground admit the outlook is bleak. Russia's recent success in Pokrovsk is the result of more than a year of grinding battles in which its forces advanced 39 kilometers, according to calculations by the US-based Institute for the Study of War. Neither Russia nor Ukraine disclose their casualty figures comprehensively, but analysts say that thousands of soldiers have been killed. The operation progressed, meter by meter, until last month when Russian assault groups overcame worn-down Ukrainian defenses. In response, Ukraine deployed its elite units, launching a special operation last week to counter potential advances. Commanders warn that the intense street-to-street fighting is reaching a critical point. Pokrovsk sits along the eastern front line, part of what has been dubbed the Fortress Belt of Donetsk, a line of heavily fortified cities crucial to Ukraine's defense of the region, including Kramatorsk, Sloviansk and Drushkivka. Pokrovsk, which had a pre-war population of 60,000, once served as a crucial logistics hub for Ukrainian forces. However, Russia used its artillery to establish an advantage over key routes, denying Ukrainian forces the ability to move freely, conduct evacuations and ferry in supplies.
The Pokrovsk front has 170,000 Russian troops, over a quarter of Russia's total contingent. 12,000 soldiers are assaulting Pokrovsk, constantly trying to get into the city. Dmytro Zmylo, military expert and co-founder and executive director of the Ukrainian Center for Security and Cooperation, stated this on Espresso TV. The raising of the Ukrainian flag in Pokrovsk is a very vivid example of a diffuse front where there is mutual penetration through positions, unlike how they fought before, in bursts. With consolidation, the Russians now ran through our positions in a large mass of live meat. Currently, the invading Russian forces are actively consolidating, especially in the southwestern outskirts of the city. Accordingly, our groups are also penetrating deep into enemy positions and trying to clear out enemy formations. I don't think the main goal was for Ukrainian soldiers to raise the flag. The main goal is to thin out the enemy's offensive positions a bit, Dmytro Zmylo commented. According to him, information is coming in that fresh Ukrainian reserves are being pulled up to Pokrovsk from the northeastern outskirts. Currently, some of the best Ukrainian units are fighting there. Main Intelligence Directorate, Special Operations Forces, and soldiers of the newly formed assault troops. Separate units of our regular mechanized brigades are also approaching. It cannot be said that the issue of Pokrovsk has been resolved. Yes, the Russians have made some advances in the center and northern outskirts of the city. But what analysts, including Western ones, note is that Ukrainian troops are trying to counterattack. Pokrovsk remains a very, very large grey zone with fighting, where the enemy hunts our operators with FPV drones, and we are trying to clear buildings and physically push the enemy to other positions, the military expert noted. The grey zone here is full of Russian bodies. Regarding the situation in the Mirnorad agglomeration, the Russian army is much worse off there. There was an attempt by isolated enemy infantrymen to run in, and there was also an attempt at a mechanized assault, which failed because Ukrainian defenders, including paratroopers of the 79th Separate Air Assault Brigade, were stationed there. Very heavy fighting continues, and it cannot be said that the defense of Pokrovsk has been concluded. Ukrainian soldiers continue to hold on. Many experts, including Western ones, were quick to say that the issue of Pokrovsk was resolved and troops needed to be withdrawn. On this front, 170,000 enemy personnel are concentrated, which is more than a quarter of Russia's occupying contingent. 12,000 Russian soldiers are involved in the assault on Pokrovsk, constantly trying to infiltrate the city, and our soldiers are turning this meat grinder. Therefore, counter-attacking actions are linked to the infiltration of our units into the city. Fighting in urban areas gives us results, greater enemy losses. It is important to keep the Russian cockroaches in the ruins of Pokrovsk, like in a matchbox, for as long as possible. Because when the defenses of important strongholds end, the Russians break out into operational space, using their numerical superiority and try to infiltrate further. The big problem is that Russia is losing its bio-waste, and we are losing our best warriors. Zmilo summarized.